The Arctic is melting. But what's emerging from beneath the ice? Is it just open water or ancient land? It's a battlefield. A new frontier, not for polar explorers, but for military commanders, oil tycoons, and geopolitical. Welcome to the new great game, a modern Cold War where nations compete not just for territory, but for control of the future itself. As the ice thins, opportunity thickens. But with opportunity comes tension. It's quiet, icy, remote. And yet, global powers are pouring in. With satellites above, and ambitions stretching from Moscow to Beijing to Washington. And he's not just posturing. Russia has filed expansive territorial claims to the UN, aiming to extend its continental shelf all the way to the North Pole. But the rapid militarization by Russia and the growing interest from China has triggered a course correction. The Pentagon now recognizes the Arctic as a potential corridor for strategic competition. U.S. submarines are conducting under-ice operations. Surveillance and missile defense systems are being modernized in Alaska. Joint NATO exercises are increasing in scale and frequency across Norway, Greenland, and Iceland. What military planners call the GIUK Gap, a key naval choke point. The melting Arctic is a signal of climate crisis, yet it is also inviting the very powers contributing to that crisis. Moreover, the rules governing the region are outdated. The UN Convention on the Law of the Sea has become a battlefield of competing claims. Russia, Canada, and Denmark have overlapping submissions to extend their continental shelves' many staking claim. Or is it destined to become the 21st century arena where cold calculations lead to real conflict? Its actions signal not only resource ambition, but a strategic message. Russia wants to control the gateway between the Pacific and Atlantic, and no one enters without their watchful eye. What was once a white void is now a contested prize. And as the world heats up, a new Cold War is quietly forming at the top of the world. Meanwhile, European NATO members like Norway and Denmark, through Greenland, are reinforcing their presence, often walking a fine line between collective security and not provoking Russia further. Or an oil rig attacked by hackers. The Arctic is quiet, but it is fragile. This is not a war of bullets. But make no mistake, China's interest is strategic, not just scientific. But beneath the diplomatic language lies a deeper truth. The Arctic is no longer too remote to matter. It may, in fact, be too valuable to ignore. If a new global trade artery opens, Beijing wants a say in how it flows. And like the ice, the balance of power is starting to crack. The Arctic was once seen as lifeless, too cold, too far, too expensive to matter. In 2018, Beijing declared itself a near-Arctic state, raising eyebrows across the West. Since then, it has invested heavily in scientific research stations in Iceland, Greenland, and Norway, and is building its own fleet of heavy icebreakers. Its Polar Silk Road initiative seeks to integrate Arctic routes into the larger belt, offering investment to small Arctic states in exchange for influence. But climate change has flipped the script. Rising temperatures are shrinking the polar ice caps, revealing new shipping lanes and vast reserves of untapped natural resources. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the Arctic may hold over 90 billion barrels of oil and 1,700 trillion cubic feet. 13% of the world's undiscovered oil and 30% of its untapped natural gas. Add to that rare earth metals, fisheries, and faster maritime routes, and you have one of the most economically strategic regions on Earth. The Northern Sea Route, for example, slashes thousands of kilometers off journeys between Europe and Asia, potentially cutting costs for shipping giants and allowing countries like Russia to dominate maritime traffic. Russia has made the Arctic a priority, militarily, economically. With the longest Arctic coastline and extensive Soviet-era infrastructure, Moscow has rapidly remilitarized the region. Over 50 icebreakers, including the world's only nuclear-powered fleet. The Kremlin has reopened Cold War-era bases, deployed advanced radar systems, stationed Arctic-trained troops, and equipped outposts with long-range missile systems. It has only 2 aging icebreakers compared to Russia's fleet of over 50. Infrastructure is limited. Congressional funding is slow. President Putin has called the Arctic the most important region for Russia's future. For years, the United States lagged behind in Arctic strategy, focused more on the Middle East. But the U.S. faces logistical challenges. China is not an Arctic country, geographically. But that hasn't stopped it from trying to become one diplomat. China has also partnered with Russia in joint Arctic energy projects, like the LNG plant cementing economic presence in a region once dominated by Western oil giants. Amid all this, the environment itself is both the cause and the victim. With no clear enforcement mechanism and no binding Arctic military treaty, the region runs on norms. That's fine until norms are broken. And what if an accident happens? A drone shot down over disputed waters. A submarine misinterpreted as hostile. So, where does this lead? Will the Arctic become a rare zone of cooperation, where science and diplomacy? For now, nations continue their silent buildup claiming land, deploying forces, and issuing careful statements. Cloaked in phrases, the ice is thinning, but the competition is thickening. This is the Silent Narrator.